this name. It's been off to the races, still continues. I'm still long.
You just said lederhosen because you wanted to say it, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Did you just win a bet?
Who doesn't want to say it? Who doesn't want to wear them?
Just want to bet.
Come on.
Keep it cut. Thanks for watching Fast Mad Money with June Cramer. Starts right now.
My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Other people want to make friends. I'm just trying to make you a little bit of money. My job is not just to entertain, but to educate, to try to teach you. So call me at 1-800-743-CBC. Tweet me at Jim Cramer. Call it the firmament. Not Wall Street, but the firmament. That's where Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary designate, comes from. So the fence sitters and skeptics are jumping on the Trump bandwagon as if the president-elect said higher stock prices and lower taxes for all. And that's how you get today's action, with the Dow gaining 440 points. This is to an all-time high. The S&P advancing 0.3% and the Nasdaq edging up 0.27%. Now, we know there was going to be a quick burst of buying, not when Donald Trump won, but when Kamala Harris lost, because despite the fact that the stock market did incredibly well under her boss, Joe Biden, their administration was seen as a wild, soak-the-rich White House. Didn't matter that Harris tried to be more pro-business in her campaign. Didn't matter that her brother-in-law, a huge campaign advisor, was the general counsel of Uber. When you're a former senator from California, one of the most progressive states in the nation, Wall Street's not going to believe you're a friend of capital, a fancy word for the moneyed interests. This is no longer the Bill Clinton era for the Democratic Party. When I met with Clinton back then, he was fascinated by the market. He had some genuine knowledge, but even more important, he had intense thirst for how it worked. These days, the Democratic Party at best has no thoughts about the stock market. I often get the word stock and market, when put together, become an ugly epithet not worth uttering. On the other hand, President-elect Trump was all about Nielsen ratings when he was on The Apprentice. And as president, he repeatedly said the Dow Jones Industrial Average, all-time high, and the S&P 500 were his new Nielsen ratings. He likes being rated. He likes to win. He wants that stock market to go up to ratify his performance. That's a big reason why the market exploded higher when he won. But soon after the election, we heard that the euphoria was over. You heard that, right? You heard the whole thing. The market was dead. Because while Wall Street loves a Republican trifecta, it doesn't love Trump's tariff proposals. Tariffs are basically a selective sales tax that only applies to imports, and the countries that get hit with them tend to retaliate. Very unpopular on Wall Street. Now, enter Scott Bessent. He is a consensus candidate, very different from the kind of guy we thought could get the job. A measured former hedge fund manager who formerly worked for George Soros, of all people. Bessent's he's a pure surprise. He's the kind of pick you make if you're trying to be as reasonable and responsible as possible. Part of the modern firmament that stands for the money classes, but also those who aspire to be a part of them. What does Bessent give you besides a good pedigree and sop to those who want things to be somewhat normal? Well, he brings the 3-3-3 policy. That's borrowed from former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, someone who's been revered for putting the sullen Japanese economy on firm footing back in 2010. It was called the Three Arrows plan back there. 3 arrows, 3-3-3. How does it work? We have an out-of-control budget deficit in this country. Something that should give us pause. $1.8 trillion alone in this fiscal year that ended in September. That's insane, but not nearly as insane as the $36 trillion in national debt that we have run up with no obvious way to pay it down. Anyone who tried to put pen to paper during the Trump campaign figured that he'd take the already busted budget and bust it even worse, if that was possible. I know that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, in their postmortem, disliked Vice President Harris's how she presented herself as the saner person when it came to the budget. Because why? Goldman Sachs said she was. Goldman's the most liberal of the investment houses, but in certain circles it's regarded as a bastion of right-wing rapacious potters, like from It's a Wonderful Life. Trump, on the other hand, couldn't be bothered with anything involving the budget except to have our allies and enemies pay it down with tariffs. Even if that argument was absurd on the face of it, he doesn't care. Trump's the self-described king of debt. But Bessent, well, his plan to cut the deficit to 3% of gross domestic product by 2028, well, it makes sense. It's prudent, frugal even. And it shows that Trump must be taking this stuff seriously, or he wouldn't give this guy the job. Now, there's two ways to make the national debt manageable. You can inflate your way out of it, Weimar style. Weimar, bad. Or you can grow your way out of it. That's where the second part of the 3 arrows comes in. 3% GDP growth, helped along by deregulation. It's a Goldilocks story. not too much inflation, not too much deflation, and enough growth that we can gradually shrink the deficit without having to implement draconian spending cuts. Are there really that many restrictive regulations that make it so that things are slow in this country? Okay, Goldilocks, it was a fairy tale. But there's a theory that says the financial system has been held back for ages by federal regulations that impede growth. Now, in reality, it's mostly state and local regulations that impede growth. But there's plenty that could be rolled back at the federal level. I say that as a small business owner, serial small business creator, not a journalist or whatever the hell people think I do for a living. Finally, the third of three arrows produce an additional 3 million barrels of oil a day. Now, this one's a pipeline dream. I thought that myself. First, I don't know if it's really possible, even if you opened up every acre of federal land, which you won't be able to because there are laws protecting that land. The most you could add right now is probably about 1 million barrels a day. You need all sorts of new technology to get beyond that. Plus, the oil industry would hate it. The price of crude would fall through the floor if we added that much production because there's not that much demand. That would lead to a self-fulfilling set of cutbacks that would then send the oil back probably to where it is now. That's a round trip. It does nothing for anybody. So you might say I'm a skeptic about all the threes. I do, however, like that Bessent also held out that he doesn't favor jamming on huge tariffs all at once. A phased roll is much more my style. It's certainly his, too. Can there be a legit top-to-bottom line change in the efficiency of our government and the costs associated with it? Count me as a skeptic about any attempt to change the government, including Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy's DOGE thing, because every penny of spending in the budget has a constituency. And when you add all those proposed cutbacks together, you run into a tremendous amount of opposition. But that's not the point. What matters is that this Treasury Secretary designate is a serious person, not unlike Steve Mnuchin before him. And those who believe Trump couldn't get a dollop of rigor in the cabinet, well, they've been proven wrong. Don't take my word for it. Take the bond market's word for it. We were all fretting about the 10-year going to 4.5% just a few days ago, and now we're cheering about a 4.28% yield as rates have plunged in the announcement of Bessent getting the job. There really isn't anything else. You may regard this as splitting hairs, but when you're dealing with credit, which is the largest market on earth, you see these numbers and you think happy days are indeed here again. What a switch from just a week ago. I'd like to say that every basis point counts, and there are hundreds of basis points. But when rates go low, housing gets revived, car loans get extended, the parts of the economy that are ailing can recover. Bottom line, that's what's being celebrated today, all from one nomination. Then again, for Wall Street and for the firmament of moneyed interests sometimes, it's really all that matters. Hey, why don't we go to Matthew in Massachusetts? Matthew.
Hey, it's Matthew's mom. Here's Matthew.
All right, let me hear him.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely, Chief. What's up?
I was wondering, how do you think Trump's stern stance on tariffs and his goal for more balanced foreign trade policy will affect overseas companies such as Alibaba?
I've got Matthew, who's also going to be my co-host, and then he's going to take over the show Friday when I'm on vacation. And Matthew's already got game. He's wealthy. You know, I don't think that Trump can necessarily hurt anybody over there. I will say this: if he did get hard tariffs, then Alibaba stock would go down. But Matthew, why don't you handle that in what we call the B block on Friday? Jerry in Missouri. Jerry.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course. What's up, Jerry?
Jim, this beaten-down rental car giant is staging a comeback, and I'm glad to see some of my losses are finally being erased. Over the last 3 weeks, it's up over 50% on no news. This morning, I sold an eighth of my position when it soared 16% from the open. Was I premature to start liquidating my position in Hertz?
No, you weren't. This is what you have to do. I am in favor of speculation. What you have to do when you speculate is that when you have wins, you have to take some off. Again, I'm not against speculation. I am not a scold. 95% of the people on TV would hate the fact that you're even along Hertz. Not me. I think it's great that you're in Hertz. But as long as you get a profit and take some of it, then you're fine. Otherwise, yes, I too would join the nation of scolds. When rates go down, parts of the economy that were ailing can recover. Sometimes that's all it takes to push the Dow to another record high, including a appointment of someone that no one ever heard of 2 weeks ago. Oh, man, I am running through a three-part series about signs of excess from across the tape, like we just discussed with our friend Jerry Missouri. Now, I've got to tell you one thing, though. I'm also going to be diving into AI and software names with a big run-up, and you better write them down because I want some profits taking in some of these, but that's up to you. If you're up big, you need to take something off the table. Where do the fintech, alternative energy, and China-based companies come to this market? Well, I'm doing the same thing with those. And then later on, a closer look at some red-hot Trump trades after the GOP's election sweep. And again, I want you to do what I told Jerry to do or what he was doing. Doing by himself, which is take some profits so they won't go away. Stay with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on X. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadMentions. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.
Think of what we could do together.
Rated PG.
Northern Lights, the project we are developing here, could be a game changer in our collective fight against climate change. Carbon capture and storage is a crucial part of meeting our ambitions to reach net zero by 2050 together with society. It's the first time it's been done at this commercial scale, meaning anybody could have access to safe CO2 storage. The developments here are giving us hope for the future.
Sometimes small companies disrupt entire industries. Meet Milestone Scientific, an NYSE company, symbol MLSS, commercialized a patented innovative medical injection technology for precise, efficient, and safe medical and dental injections. $10 million in annual revenue, 70% gross margins, now entering the $2 billion epidural injection market with an FDA-approved product and expanding Medicare coverage. Milestone Scientific, stock symbol MLSS.
Hindsight may be 2020, but what investors need today is 2020 foresight. VectorVest has it.
I'd be trading blind if it wasn't for VectorVest, the best stock site, period.
Test drive VectorVest today for only 99 cents.
Amazing. Jerry, you gotta see this.
Seen it. Trust me, after 15 walks, gets a little old.
Stop waiting. Start investing. E-Trade from Morgan Stanley.
With passion and service at the heart of everything we do, Redwood Credit Union is a local partner you can rely on. Whether you're dreaming of a new home, planning for your children's future, or growing your business, our products are designed to help you thrive. From competitive rates on loans to smart saving solutions, this is banking you can count on. Join nearly 480,000 of your family, friends, and neighbors who found a financial partner that feels like home. Redwood Credit Union, for all that you love.
Drop everything and get some magic of your own during the Xfinity Black Friday sale. Xfinity Internet customers, our best deals of the year are back. Switch to Xfinity Mobile and get your choice of a free 5G phone plus your next unlimited line free for a year. Get amazing savings and connect to Wi-Fi speeds up to a gig on the go with Xfinity Mobile. Fly, don't walk. To get our best deals of the year. Connect to the world of Wicked this holiday. In theaters now.
Couple of weeks, we've seen signs of excess bubbling all over the stock market in all sorts of places. To the point where I feel like devoting the whole show tonight to laying them all out for you so you're prepared, be ready. All in all, I think it's perfectly reasonable for the S&P